Hare Krishna and a very warm welcome to all the devotees to our program on Srimad Bhagavatam study. Today is our 19th class on Srimad Bhagavatam study, and we will be continuing our discussion on the 7th chapter of the first canto, starting from verse 22nd till the end, verse number 58. The title of this chapter, as given by Srila Prabhupada in his commentary, is The Son of Drona Punished. We will start with Mangalacharan prayers and we invite Anupama Kulkarni Mataji for reciting the prayers.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji. You may like to share your video also if possible.
My video is on, Prabhuji.
Okay, yeah, please go ahead then.
Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanshya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्री वासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे.
Very nice. Okay, now the next one.
Yes. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंद गोप कुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः.
Okay, thank you very much, Mataji. Very nicely recited, very sweetly recited. Thank you. Okay, now we go to the next part, and this is the recap of the previous class. And I would like to invite Manish Kulkarni Prabhuji, who probably is joining us from Singapore. Prabhuji,
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
yes.
Hare Krishna to all devotees. Yes, the summary of the class on 9 July. Canto 1, Chapter 7, again, son of Drona punished. Let us go to the verse number 1, where Shaunaka Rishi asked Sutta Goswami, what did Vyasadeva do after hearing from Narad Muni and his departure? So Narad Muni has now departed, and then the question is raised by Shaunaka Rishi asking, now further, what was the action from Vyasadeva? Then Sutta Goswami said, yeah, Vyasadeva got purified himself touching the water from Saraswati river, and he sat down for meditation in a Samya Prasha ashram. So he was in that Samya Prasha ashram. And what is an ashram? Prabhupada described this about the definition of an ashram is a place where spiritual culture is always foremost. Yeah, and it doesn't matter whether the place belongs to a householder or a mendicant. The next is Vyasadeva now fixed his mind in bhakti yoga without any tinge of materialism, and he saw the absolute personality of Godhead along with his external energy Maya, which was full under his control. Yeah? So Vyasadeva started to meditate, and then as you know, the absolute mentioned here is again the Purusha or a person in the Bhagavad Gita. The Purusha is confirmed as the eternal and the original person. Further,
Prabhuji,
yeah,
can
yes.
you share your screen also? Can you share your video also?
Okay. Sorry. Let me sit.
Thank you.
Oh, can we see?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. So then we go to the next verse, that is verse number 5. So Vyasadeva saw the root cause of Jiva's misery. What is the misery right now? What we are facing in the Kali Yuga is nothing but bewilderment due to external energy of the Lord. So as you know, the Jiva entity is made of 3 gunas and is transcendental to his gunas. However, because of the Maya, the Jiva undergoes reaction of material miseries, and that is called as the anartham. Similarly, we know that the Lord doesn't interfere with this energy, and but it is same like an analogy was given by Prabhupada that an affectionate father, yeah, does not like his children to be chastised by another agent, but put his disobedient children under the custody of a teacher, who then bring them to the order. So similarly, within every heart, there is a Paramatma vision. The Lord himself sits as a Paramatma, and he becomes the spiritual master in the shape of scripture, saints, or initiating a spiritual master. So number 6 talks about how to cure effect of Maya. So as you know that the Jiva is now under the suffering of Maya, and how we can come out of this suffering. So the only path which is described here is Bhakti Yoga. And typically the people in the Kali Yuga do not know this. Hence Vyasadeva compiled Bhagavatam. So again, the emphasis is put more on the Bhakti Yoga, which is a medicine to cure misery. Love of Godhead solely depends upon Lord's mercy, and this misery can be mitigated once by hearing or by chanting. Verse number 7 again talks about how we can overcome the effect of Maya. So just by listening to Srimad Bhagavatam, the bhakti for the Lord will arise and extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. So here I think Prabhupada ji also said that we typically do a lot of peace conferences. There at United Nations, there are so many other conferences we do to overcome the peace. But definitely we know that the peace in this society doesn't overcome by this, but only the peace can go by hearing Bhagavatam and glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So again, simply by hearing Bhagavatam, prema arises, and what greater effect it will have if we start speaking about it, and what even greater effect if we start engaging with others. So when we discuss and we engage all the devotees, yeah, the effect is totally different and we get out of this misery. Verse 8 to 11, then we talk about Vyasadeva teaches Bhagavatam to Sukdev Goswami. Verse 8 talks that Vyasadeva teaches Bhagavatam to his son Sukdev Goswami, who was already self-realized. So we have studied in the past lecture that Sukdev Goswami was a liberated soul. Yeah? And therefore, Vyasadeva had realized the superiority of the prema over realization of the bliss, and wanted Shuka to also experience the bliss of prema. So that is why he wanted to teach the Bhagavatam to Sukdev Goswami. Yeah. Verse number 9 is, Shaunak Rishi again then asked Shaunak Rishi asked Sutta Goswami, why did Sukdeva did not take the trouble to undergo the study of such a vast literature? He was already in the path of liberation. Why Sukdeva need to take? So why he has to again do this study of Bhagavatam? Because he was already in the path of liberation. So here Prabhupada explains the difference between the karmis and the atmaramis. So here typically we studied that atmaramis are different from the karmis, and they are totally indifferent to this material enjoyment. They are already a kind of exalted devotees, but Bhagavatam is a very postgraduate study even for the atmaramis, who have surpassed all the studies of Vedic knowledge. So even they have learned everything, but Bhagavatam is something add-on, yeah, to which we can always learn more about it. Verse number 10 talks about Suta's reply. Lord possesses transcendental qualities and therefore can attract everyone, including liberated souls. So here, who are freed on the path of self-realization or free from material bondage, yeah, the sages or Nigrantha. So here also, this all are attracted by the qualities of the Lord, and therefore everybody wants to learn more and more or wants to glorify the Lord. So this is now verse number 11. Sukdev Goswami is not only transcendentally powerful, but was also dear to the devotees of Lord. So we know that Sukdeva was a liberated soul, and within the womb of his mother, Vyasadeva knew that the child after his birth would not stay home. Therefore, Vyasadeva impressed upon his synopsis of Bhagavatam so that he can be attached to the transcendental qualities of the Lord. So from verse number 12, yeah, now Sutta Goswami already answered question 1, that was history of Bhagavatam. Now he will explain in the question 2 about the Parikshit Maharaj, about the birth and death of the Parikshit Maharaj. Verse number 12, Sutta said that he will now begin the transcendental narration of Lord Sri Krishna and the topics related to King Parikshit and renunciation of the Pandavas. So now there's little bit, I would say, some different direction we are going now. We are talking about the renunciation of the Pandavas. So next verse is verse number 13 to 14. So here we all know at the end of the Kurukshetra war, that is the Mahabharata war, Ashwatthama killed. So who is Ashwatthama? He is the son of Dronacharya, the guru of Arjuna, and then Ashwatthama killed 5 sleeping sons of Draupadi. And he did not knew that, he thought that the sons who were sleeping are Pandavas, but unknowingly he killed all those things. When he told this to Duryodhana, he was very, very angry and he disapproved this act. And he was definitely not pleased by by whatever Ashwatthama did. Yeah. After when Draupadi came to know in the verse number 13 to 15 to 16, when Draupadi heard about this, she cried in distress. Yeah? And then she told Arjuna that this has happened. So Arjuna was also very angry, and then he told that he will behead Ashwatthama, and then only you can take the bath, standing near to his head. So that is why Arjun now set out in the next verse to kill Ashwatthama. So Arjuna gets armed and with a very furious weapon. It's like a Brahmastra. He takes all these weapons. Now he is set out to kill, yeah, Ashwatthama. And then who is the Sarthi? The Sarthi is the Lord himself. Under the guidance of Lord Krishna, he pulls off the chariot and then he now is going to kill the Ashwatthama. So in the verse 18, we see that Ashwatthama saw Arjuna coming and Ashwatthama fled in fear. So he was very afraid. He saw the furious Arjuna is now coming against him to kill him. And Ashwatthama saw his horses are tired. So Ashwatthama is running, Arjuna is following up. And now Ashwatthama horses are tired. And seeing no other protection, he thinks that now I have to use this ultimate weapon, that is the Brahmastra. It is all similar to like a nuclear weapon. Then Ashwatthama in the verse 20, he also touched the water in sanctity, he purified, concentrated on the hymns, and now he is ready to discharge Brahmastra. But he knew how to use Brahmastra, but he did not know how to withdraw this. Once the Brahmastra is set out for killing somebody, but he did not know how to withdraw this weapon. Then in the verse 21, which is the last verse, a glaring light spread in all directions when this Brahmastra was released. Light spread in all directions due to release of this Brahmastra. And Arjuna also now feared. He was also feared seeing this Brahmastra and then began to address Lord Shri Krishna. So he now is asking Shri Krishna, and then we will study further in this class what happens in the future about this story. Thank
Okay,
you.
Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, thank you very much for
So,
very
Prabhuji, Hare
nice.
Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you very much for nicely recapping the previous class. So in this class, as I would like to remind, verse number 4, 5, 6, and 7 are the most important verses. And because it tells the basis of how Srimad Bhagavatam was written and what did Vyasdev actually did before deciding to compile Srimad Bhagavatam. So he went into the meditation, saw the Lord as Purusha, and then saw the material energy, saw the living entity, the material energy being the root cause of the miseries of living entities. And that's where he compiled Srimad Bhagavatam. And it is being mentioned very clearly that Srimad Bhagavatam is the cure for the miseries of the jiva in this material world. So very, very strong verses. Today also we learned one of the verses, the seventh one, from that set only. And then the other one is the Atmaram verse, which is the verse number 10, that even the liberated soul are attracted to the literature like Srimad Bhagavatam because it provides very sweet stories about the Supreme Lord, transcendental stories about the Supreme Lord. So those two verses or two sets of verses are very, very important. Rest is a storyline. Now we will continue with our discussion further. And now we start with the verse number 22nd onwards, where now Arjuna is offering prayers to Lord Shri Krishna. And then we will continue with the storyline of the chapter today. So today we will see that slides will move very fast because there are a lot of stories. The storyline is very exciting today. Let us see what happens now. Before we begin, would like to invite Vrindavaneshwari Mataji for recitation and also request who else would like to volunteer for recitation of verses and read the text in the class today. So who would like to volunteer? Can you please give me your
Prabhuji,
names?
I can.
Okay,
Prabhuji,
so
I can.
okay, Vidya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Okay, Anuradha Mataji. Okay, anyone else?
I can also do, Prabhuji.
Okay, Jeevan Prabhu. Okay, so we will have four people, and Vrindavaneshwari Mataji being the first one today. Okay, Mataji, are you ready?
Yes, Prabhu. Ready.
Okay, so so these are the prayers of Arjuna. So now Ashwathama has already discharged the Brahmastra. Glaring light is all around. Arjuna is feeling fearful, and he is offering prayers to Lord Krishna. And in the end, he will ask what he should do. He will ask what is the situation, what is going on. Please guide him. So let us see what the prayers of Arjuna are. Now, Mataji, please recite together with me. Krishna
Yes.
Krishna Mahabaho
Krishna Krishna Mahabaho.
Bhaktanam Abhayankara
Bhakta Nama Bhayankara.
Tvameko Dahiyamananam
Tvameko Dayamananam.
Apavargosi Samshritehe.
Apavargosi Shamsrate.
Yes. Now we'll discuss line by line meaning. Krishna Krishna Mahabaho. Krishna Krishna. Now he's reciting Krishna two times. So is it a grammatical mistake or is it something else? So Krishna Krishna. So it is out of excitement, out of love for the Lord, he is repeating the word Krishna twice. Krishna Krishna Mahabaho. Mahabaho means a mighty armed Krishna. So, oh mighty armed Krishna. He then glorifies Krishna by saying Bhakta Nam Abhayankara. So, oh my dear Lord Krishna, you are the one who actually bestow fearlessness in the devotees. So, you are the cause of fearlessness in the devotees. So, Bhakta Nam Abhayankara. Tvameko, you are the only one. Huh? Dahya Mananam. Dahya means, Dahya word comes from the word Dahan. Dahan means to burn. So, Dahya Mananam. You can only give liberation to those who are burning in the fire of material existence. Apavargosi samsritehe. Samsrite means in the miseries of material existence. Apavargo. Apavargo is another word used for liberation. Apavarga. Apavargosi samsritehe. So you are the one who provides relief uh, to the devotees or to the people who are burning in the fire of material existence. You provide them with the relief of liberation. So tvameko dahiyamananam apavargosi samsrite. So in this prayer, Lord Krishna actually Arjuna actually glorifies Lord Krishna. And then if you see the purport by Srila Prabhupada, in the purport Srila Prabhupada mentions about that how Lord Krishna in this material world provides this relief to the living entities, and he is referring to the shelter of the spiritual master. So when a person or when a living entity takes the shelter of the spiritual master, then the spiritual master, who is well versed in the message of the Lord, uh, provides this knowledge to the living entity, and through this knowledge, the living entity takes shelter and feels relief from the burning fire of this material existence. And there is a prayer also in the morning that we typically recite in the ISKCON temples: Sansara Dava Nala Lidh Loka Tranaya Karunya Ghana Ghanatvam, which means that this material world is a burning place, is something like a forest fire, and then the mercy of the Lord is like showers of rains which provide relief from this burning fire. So like this, Arjuna also is now reciting these prayers where he's mentioning Lord Krishna as the ultimate shelter. Krishna Krishna Mahabaho Bhaktanam Abhayankara Tvameko Dahiyamananam Apavargosi Samsrite. Next one, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Here Arjuna is now referring to Lord Krishna that you are transcendental. Transcendental means you don't belong to this material world. You actually are transcendental. You are above this material world. You are transcending this material world. So Krishna is transcendental is the main theme. Tvam Adya Purusha Sakshat
Tvamadya Purusha Sakshat
Ishvara Prakrate Paraha
Ishvara Prakrate Prara
Mayam Yudasya Chitshaktya
Mayam Vyudasya Chitshaktya
Kevalya Sthita Atmani.
Kaivalya Sthita Atmani.
Okay, so here he's referring, Arjuna is referring to Krishna as Tvam Adya Purushah Sakshat, that you are actually the original person. Adya Purusha. Adya Purusha means Adi Purush. Adi means the first person. Tvam Adya Purusha Sakshat. Sakshat means directly, perfectly. Tvam Adya Purusha Sakshat Ishvaraha Prakratehe Paraha. And you are the supreme controller. Ishvara means controller. Prakritehe. Prakrite means the material nature. Paraha means transcendental. You are beyond the you are transcendental to the material nature, and you are the supreme controller. Mayam Vyudasya Chit Shaktya. Mayam Vyudasya Chit Shaktya. What does this mean? You are the master of spiritual energy. Chit Shakti. Chit Shakti. So Chit Shakti is referring to the spiritual energy. And what does this Chit Shakti do? Who casts away Maya. Mayam Vyudasya. Mayam Vyudasya. Vyudasya means cast away. Bhaga dena. Cast away. Mayam Vyudasya Chit Shaktya. Using your spiritual energy, you actually make the Maya run around, make the Maya go away. Then Kevalya Sthita Atmani. And always situated in eternal bliss and knowledge. So, like this, Arjuna in this second prayer is once again glorifying Lord's transcendental qualities, where what in primarily what Arjuna is saying here is that you are above this material nature, and because of your spiritual energy, you dispel the darkness of Maya. So if you remember, uh, it is being mentioned some elsewhere in the Vedic literature that Lord Krishna is like the brilliant sun, and Maya means that energy of the Lord which actually keeps the jiva in bewilderment. So Lord Krishna's shelter is like bright sunshine, and when this bright sunshine is there, then this dark energy of Maya actually goes away. That is the main message here. Okay, then in this 24th shlok, uh, there
Nice
is
person.
another quality of Lord Krishna is mentioned, that he is very merciful. Sa eva jiva lokasya
Sa eva jivalokasya
maya mohita chetasaha
maya mohita chetasa
vidatse svena viryena
vidatse svena viryena
shreyo dharmadi lakshanam.
shreyo dharmadi lakshanam.
Yeah. Now here Lord Arjuna is praying Sa eva jiva lokasya maya mohita chetasah. So sa eva means he is actually referring to the previous verse where he's saying, though you are non-different from your spiritual energy. So in the previous verse there is a mention of chit shakti. So that is what sa eva jiva lokasya. Though you are non-different from your spiritual energy, you benefit all the jivas bewildered by Maya. Hmm? Maya mohita chetasah. So the jiva are bewildered by Maya, and you benefit these jivas. How do you benefit? Vidatse svena viryena shreyo dharmadi lakshanam. Through your power, by giving them dharma, artha, and kama. Vidatse svena viryena shreyo dharmadi lakshanam. So the Lord actually gives these teachings about dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Although there is a fifth purusharth also, which is known as Lord, the prema of the Lord, the loving devotional service of the Lord. But here, Arjuna is actually referring to the Supreme Lord that you are very merciful. The jiva is bewildered by Maya Shakti, and you help the jiva by teaching the jiva all these principles of four purusharthas like dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. So dharma adi lakshanam, dharma adi is simply by making a reference of dharma and putting the word adi, it is actually referring to the four purusharthas: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. So through your power, by giving them dharma, artha, and kama. So like that, he's trying to glorify the Lord, that he is very merciful. He takes care of the living entity in multiple ways, and one of the ways is to educate the living entity in the principles of four purusharthas like dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Okay. Next one.
Krishna's avatar.
Krishna's avatar. So tathayam cha avataraste
तथायां चावतारस्ते
bhuvo bhara jihirshaya bhuvo bhara jihirshaya
भुवो भारत
jihirshaya
स्वानां भुवो
bhuvo bhara jihirshaya
भारजिहीर्षया
swanam chananya
भुवो
bhavanam
भारजिः स्वनां चानन्यभावानां
anudhyanaya chakshara chasakrat
अनुध्यानाय चाक्षरत्
anudhyanaya chasakrat.
अनुध्यानाय चाक्षरत्.
Yes. What does it mean? Tathayam cha avataraste. Thus you take the avatar. For what? Bhuvo bhara jihirshaya. To remove the burden of the world, and swanam cha ananya bhavanam. To benefit your friends, especially those who are your exclusive devotees. Cha ananya bhavanam. Cha ananya bhavanam means you are exclusive devotees. Ananya means no other. Swanam cha ananya bhavanam. Swanam means your devotees. And then anudhyanaya cha sakrat, and are constantly wrapped in meditation upon you. So here it is being mentioned that you take avatar. So in the previous verse, it was mentioned that Lord Krishna, you are very merciful. You provide the living entity with the principles of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. In this verse, in 25th verse, Arjuna is glorifying that you are very merciful. And then you take avatar. And you take avatar for what? To remove the burden of the world, and then also to benefit your loving devotees. So it is very similar to which verse in Bhagavad Gita? Can anyone remember? Which verse in Bhagavad Gita is very similar to the theme?
यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानम् अधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्.
Okay, what was the next one to this?
परित्राणाय साधूनां
Vina.
विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां
Yeah,
धर्म
yeah. So this second verse, paritra,
संस्थापनार्थाय
Yes, yes, Mataji. So this second verse, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. So here he does take avatar to remove the burden of the world and to benefit the loving devotees, to benefit your friends, especially those who are your exclusive devotees. So like this in 22nd, 23rd, 24th and 25th. So these are the four verses where Arjuna is offering prayers. So these are the first prayers mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. So you will find in Srimad Bhagavatam there are multiple prayers, and this is the very first one that we are studying in the first canto, which is prayers by Arjuna just before he is about to encounter the Brahmastra thrown by Ashwatthama. Okay, now uh, in this 26th verse, Mataji, can you please read from here?
Yes, yes, Prabhu. 26. O Lord of Lords, how is it that this dangerous effulgence is spreading all around? Where does it come from? I do not understand it.
Yeah, now Arjuna, after reciting the prayers, turns towards Lord Krishna and pose this question that he sees this very brilliant effulgence, what to do? He cannot understand from where it is coming, and like that, he poses this question before Lord Krishna. And then Lord replies to Arjuna. Please read from here.
Lord said, it is the act of Ashwatthama, who released the Brahmastra out of fear of his life. He does not know how to retract it.
Yeah,
Only
so,
another, okay,
hmm. Yeah, please go ahead.
only another Brahmastra can counteract it. Therefore, subdue it with your own Brahmastra.
Yeah, now Lord Krishna uh, tells Arjuna that it is coming from Ashwatthama, and this is actually done out of fear. And this guy does not know how to retract it. He only knows how to unleash it, but he doesn't know how to control it, how to bring it back. Now I suggest you that you release your own Brahmastra and counteract the effect of this particular Brahmastra, and then uh, follow what I'm saying. That's what Lord Krishna suggests Arjuna. Okay, yes, Mataji.
Hearing this, Arjuna circumambulated Krishna and cast his Brahmastra.
Yeah, so Arjuna did some parikrama to Lord Krishna, offered his prayers, and then released his own Brahmastra weapon to counter the Brahmastra released by Ashwatthama. So Brahmastra is something like a nuclear weapon, which is driven by the power of the mantra Shakti. And like in today's world, we have these nuclear weapon. We can unleash the nuclear weapon. We can discharge the nuclear weapon, but once discharged, we don't know how to control it. But in the case of Brahmastra, it is possible to control it back also, to bring it back also once discharged. So Arjuna released his own Brahmastra to counter Ashwatthama's Brahmastra. Please.
A great circle of fire covered outer space and the planets. Everyone in the three worlds was scorched by the combined heat. Understanding the will of the Lord, Arjuna at once retracted both Brahmastra to protect the world from destruction. Arjuna, his eyes blazing with anger, dexterously arrested Ashwatthama, bound him with ropes like an animal, and wanted to take to take him back to the military camp. Lotus Eye Lord Krishna then spoke in angry mood.
Yeah. So what happened once Arjuna also released his Brahmastra? There was a great circle of fire, and then it covered the outer space and planets, and everyone was feeling very scorchy with the combined heat of two weapons, two Brahmastra weapons. Arjuna immediately understood the will of the Lord and retracted these Brahmastra weapon, and now he managed to very dexterously, very skillfully, he was able to arrest Ashwatthama, bounded him with ropes like an animal, and then he wanted to take him back to the military camp. And then lotus eyed Lord Krishna spoke in a very angry mood. So both Arjuna and Krishna are shown here in a very angry mood, and Ashwatthama has been made captive. He has been bound with ropes. Yes, Mataji.
Brahma Bandhu, O Arjuna, You should not show mercy on this Brahmabandhu, for he killed innocent boys in their sleep.
Now Lord Krishna starts giving his argument what to do with this Ashwathama. And Lord Krishna suggests Arjuna that now you should kill this Ashwathama. And he refers Ashwathama as Brahma Bandhu. Brahma Bandhu actually means relative of a Brahmana. Bandhu means relative. Brahma is referring to Brahmana. So he's referring to Ashwathama as Brahma Bandhu. And can anyone make a guess why he's referring Ashwathama as Brahma Bandhu?
Because he's not a real Brahman.
He's not a real Brahmana. So very correct, Mataji. So Brahmana, people who may take birth in the Brahmana family but may not possess the qualities of a Brahmana are referred to as Brahma Bandhus. So Lord Krishna referred Ashwathama as Brahma Bandhu because he was son of a Brahmana, and his father is Dronacharya. And because he's a son of a Brahmana, but he doesn't possess any good qualities of a Brahmana, that is why Lord Krishna is referring to him as Brahma Bandhu. Prabhupada ji also makes some discussion in his purport about what is Brahma Bandhu. Okay, Mataji, can you please read the first point?
Who is a Brahmabandhu? The word Brahmabandhu is significant. A person who happens to take birth in the family of Brahmanas but is not qualified to be called as Brahmana is addressed as the relative of Brahmana and not as Brahmana. The son of the High Court judge is not virtually a High Court judge, but there's no harm in addressing a High Court judge's son as the relative of the Honorable Justice.
So here the word Brahma Bandhu is significant. A person who happens to take birth in the family of Brahmana but not as qualified as Brahmana is addressed as the relative of a Brahmana and not as Brahmana. So a relative of Brahmana means Brahma Bandhu. And Prabhupada gives one analogy that if you are a son of a judge, that automatically does not make you a judge yourself. In order to become a judge, you need to possess the qualification of the judge. But if you are a son of a judge or if you are a relative of a judge, you can at least being referred to as relative of an honorable judge. So similarly, Ashwathama is not mentioned as a Brahmana, but as a relative of a Brahmana, like that, because he does not possess the qualities of a Brahmana. Then Prabhupada makes another point that who is actually a Brahmana?
A Brahmana is by qualities, not by birth. The Shastra enjoys that if good qualifications are seen in a person born in a family other than that of Brahmana, the qualified man has to be accepted as a Brahmana. And similarly, if a person born in the family of Brahmana is void of Brahmanical qualities, then he must be treated as a non-Brahmana, or in better terms, a relative of Brahmana.
Yeah, so the idea is if you are born in a non-Brahmanical family, but you do possess the qualities of a Brahmana, then you should be accepted as a Brahmana, and vice versa. That if you are born in a Brahmana family but don't possess the qualities of a Brahmana, then you are not to be treated as a Brahmana. Rather, you should be treated as a non-Brahmana. So once again, this is being clarified by Prabhupada ji. So anyone can let me know in which chapter, which verse in Bhagavad Gita this particular concept is mentioned, that the varnas are based on qualities and not on birth. Which verse is that in Srimad Bhagavad Gita? Can anyone remind me?
Fourth
Is it fourth chapter?
Chaturvanya.
Fourth chapter. Yes, Vrindavaneshwari Mataji, you were saying?
Chaturvanya Maya Srishtim Gunakarma Vibhagata.
Yeah, correct. Chaturvarnyam Maya Shrishtam Guna Karma Vibhagashah. So all these four varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, they are actually defined by guna karma and not by janma. It is only by guna and karma. So what are your qualities and what are your activities? So looking at the qualities and activities, you are actually labeled as either Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra. So something very similar is being mentioned by Prabhupada ji in the purport here. Okay. Now we move to Vidya Mataji for recitation. Mataji, please join us.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Now Lord Krishna first of all mentions that Ashwatthama is a Brahma Bandhu, and then he starts giving few other reasons for supporting the killing of this Brahma Bandhu. In the 35th verse, Lord Krishna said that you don't show any mercy to this Brahma Bandhu because he has killed your innocent children. Now, this was one reason. Then, in the next verse, he gives another reason that this Ashwatthama has violated the codes of religious war, and he speaks a very nice verse which tells us that uh, that if there is a war, then we are not supposed to kill these particular category of people. So let us recite this verse. Mattam pramattam unmattam
Mattam parmattam or unmattam,
suptam balam striyam jadam
suptam balam sriyam jadam,
prapannam viratham bhitam
pannam virtham bhitam,
na ripum hanti dharmavet.
na ripum hanti dharmavet.
Yes. So now mattam means careless, pramattam means intoxicated, unmattam means insane, suptam sleeping, balam means boyish, striyam means women, and jadam means foolish. Prapannam means surrendered. Viratham means without any ratha, without any chariot. Bhitam means fearful. Na ripum hanti dharmavit. Now, if your enemy is of any of these categories, careless, intoxicated, insane, and so on, if your ripum means enemy, if your enemy belong to any of these categories, na hanti dharmavit. So the knower of a religion, knower of a dharma, does not hanti, does not kill these category of people. So, but Ashwatthama actually have violated these codes. He has killed boys who were sleeping, and they were not in at any war or any challenging to Ashwatthama. So, you have actually killed out of violating the codes of religious war. So, you are expected to be killed. There should not be any mercy to such a offender. So, this is the second reason. Then, please read from here.
Wars in the past. Formerly, battles were fought on the principles of religion and not for the sake of sense gratification. Formerly, war was never declared by the whims of selfish political leaders.
Yeah, so Lord Krishna mentioning the violation of code of wars. So Prabhupada ji make this point that in the past, when the battles were there, when the wars were there were very strict rules for fighting the wars. There were principles on which the wars were fought, and there were some mention of these principles in this particular verse, which we just discussed. Uh, please read
When
from here.
violence, when violence is better than non-violence, violence carried out on religious principles is far superior to so-called non-violence.
Yeah. So violence, even if we have to carry out violence, which are based on some dharma, on the religious principles, it is much better than tolerating such uh, non-religious acts. Like people of caliber like Duryodhan, they were doing all kind of mischiefs, nonsense. So rather than in the name of non-violence, tolerating and agreeing to all what he was doing, it is better to do violence based on religious principles than just so-called non-violence. So these are some points by Prabhupada ji. Okay, now we move to the next verse, 37th verse, Mataji. Please read only the 37th one. Yeah.
Wretched, a cruel and wretched person who maintains his existence at the cost of others lives deserves to be killed for his own well-being.
Yes. Now here, after giving these two reasons, violation of code of conduct and that he has killed your children, he mentions Ashwathama as wretched. Wretched means he actually doesn't have any mercy or any kind of hesitance in killing people. He's something like an habitual offender. He's very cruel. He's wretched. He's wretched. And then uh, who maintains his existence at the cost of others' lives. So he's simply something like he's very fond of killing people, and just on basis of killing other people, he maintains his existence. So such a person actually deserves to be killed. And when we say that he deserves to be killed, it is not for the benefit of the society. Certainly there is a benefit of the society, but actually it is also for his own well-being. Now, in order to explain this point, Prabhupada ji mentioned something in the purport for the verse number 37. Please read from here.
Death sentence is appropriate for a murderer. That a murderer is condemned to a death sentence by the state is good for the culprit, because in his next life he will not have to suffer for his act of murder.
Yeah, so Prabhupada ji here is giving reason why this capital punishment is given to some type of people, some particular criminals. So he's saying that when we give this death sentence to this murderer or people who murder someone because they have taken someone's life, it is actually for the benefit of this offender. Why? Because by giving a death sentence to such an offender, actually his burden of sins actually reduces. Because in his next life he will not have to suffer for his act of murder. So like that, when the king or the state provides this death sentence to such offenders, it is in his own interest. Sometimes such offenders may even get higher planets like heavens and so on, just because they have paid for the sins that they have committed by committing a murder. So this is the shastric reason why this death sentence is given to a murderer. Okay, now Prabhupada ji in the purport also talks about animal killing, and he's mentioning that animal killing is also like a murder. Please read from here.
Animal killer is also a murderer. According to Manu, the great author of civic codes and religious principles, even the killer of an animal is to be considered a murderer, because animal food is never meant for the civilized man, whose prime duty is to prepare himself for going back to Godhead.
Yeah, so here you can see Prabhupada ji is mentioning in very clear terms that don't think that animal killing is not equal to murder. Although the state laws or the laws of the government or the laws of the land may not recognize it as murder, but in the eyes of the scripture, in the eyes of the Lord, in the eyes of his spiritual authority, if we kill a living entity, actually it is no different than a murder. And he's referring to Manu, the great author of civic codes and religious principles, who has also regarded these animal killing as a murder. There are more in Prabhupada's purport on animal killing. Let us read that also. Please read from here.
Who are considered as animal killers: he who gives permission, he who kills the animal, he who sells the slaughtered animal, he who cooks the animal, he who administers distribution of the foodstuff, and at last, he who eats such cooked animal food, are all murderers, and all of them are liable to be punished by the laws of nature.
Yes. So here people cannot actually get away from the killing of animal simply by saying this argument. See, we are only eating it. Somebody else killed it. So we are simply eating. So we are not the murderer. We have not killed it. But Prabhupada ji very clearly in the purports is identifying 6 categories. One who gives permission, who kills, who sells the slaughtered animal, who cooks the animal, who is engaged in the distribution of this food, and at the last, who eat such cooked animal. So all are actually party to the murder of this animal. So one cannot get away from this sin of this murder of this animal simply by giving reason that actually we directly have not killed ourselves, somebody else killed it. But if you are falling in any of these categories, you are also considered as animal killers. Okay, next one, Mataji.
Karmic reaction due to animal killing. The material world is itself a place always full of anxieties. And by encouraging animal slaughter, the whole atmosphere becomes polluted more and more by war, pestilence, famine, and many other unwanted calamities.
Yes, so Prabhupada is relating here such acts of killing animals to the calamities that the world actually sees on a day-to-day basis. We see in the world somewhere there is a earthquake, there is a famine, there is tsunami, or there is maybe some other thing. Recently, we actually all saw this coming of this pandemic called COVID. It is all something like Mother Nature reacting or responding to these sinful activities of animal killing. So this is the Mother Nature's silent response, in its own words, in its own language, of natural calamities. Okay, we now go to the another verse, 38th verse, Mataji. Please read this.
Promise, you have promised Draupadi that you will bring her his head.
Yeah, now Lord Krishna gives the fourth reason. Already three reasons he has given. Fourth is promise, that you yourself have made a promise to your good wife Draupadi that you will bring his, you will behead Ashwathama. So just because you have promised your wife, just honor that promise. So this is the fourth reason. Now he gives the fifth reason. Yes, Mataji, please.
Murderer. He is a murderer of your family who has dissatisfied his master and is nothing but the burnt remnants of his family. Kill him immediately.
Kill him immediately. Now he's saying, he's giving fifth reason, Lord Krishna is giving fifth reason, that he has killed your family members, your own sons. And not only he has killed his your family members, but that act was so heinous that even for whom he actually supposedly done this act, he also did not approve it. He did it mainly for Duryodhan, to please Duryodhan. But Duryodhan himself was not satisfied by him. And then he's actually something like remnants, burnt remnants of his family. Burnt remnants is actually ashes, the rak. In Hindi we call it rak, the ashes of this family. So ashes of the family or burnt remnants of his family means he actually has brought a lot of disregard, disrespect to his own dynasty, to his own family, to his own glorious lineage. He comes from a Brahmanical family. He had a very illustrious father like Dronacharya. So he has displeased his master. He has put a blemish on the dynasty of his own, and he actually killed your own family members. That is why he's supposed to be killed immediately. Now, Prabhupada ji gives few points on this purport. Please read from here.
Why Ashwathama is called burnt remnants of his family. The son of Dronacharya is condemned here as the burnt remnants of his family. The good name of Dronacharya was very much respected. Although he joined the enemy camp, the Pandavas held him always in respect, and Arjuna saluted him before beginning the fight.
So a reason is given why his Ashwathama is called as burnt remnants of the family, because he belonged to a very illustrious family, and by doing this act, he has actually destroyed that respect of his family. Okay, now the next one, Mataji, who can be killed?
Who can be killed? In the Shastras, he who attacks without notice or kills from behind or sets fire to another's house or kidnap one's wife is condemned to death.
Now, Shastric explanation on who can be killed: who attacks without notice, or kills from behind, or sets fire to another's house, or kidnaps one's wife. All these four categories of people, the sentence is death punishment. They can be killed. Okay, now we move to the next one. Yes, please read from here.
Suta said, although Krishna, who was examining Arjuna in religion, encouraged Arjuna to kill Ashwathama, But Arjuna, a great soul, did not like the idea of killing.
Okay, now the discussion goes back to Sut Goswami, who is giving this explanation to the sages of Naimisharanya. He's saying that Krishna, by exciting Arjuna to kill Ashwatthama, now Lord Krishna gave 5 reasons to Arjuna. So he is exciting Arjuna to kill Ashwatthama, but uh, actually he was doing it only externally, through his words, through his actions. Krishna was trying to tell Arjuna that you should kill Ashwatthama, but from inside he had something else in his mind. So it is being mentioned here in the verse number 40 that although Krishna, who was examining Arjuna in religion, encouraged Arjuna to kill Ashwatthama, but Arjuna, a great soul, did not like the idea of killing. So what does it mean? That Arjuna knew Krishna very well. So he could read that Krishna actually is saying that kill Ashwatthama, but from his tone, maybe from his inside, he could read the mind of the Lord, and he could understand that he's externally saying that to kill Ashwatthama, but from inside, I think he has some other plan. So here, that is why here is being mentioned, did not like the idea of killing. Although Krishna was exciting it, but the hidden agenda was that Krishna was examining Arjuna in religion. Krishna was taking some test of Arjuna. Let us read some points in the purport by Prabhupada.
Why Krishna examined Arjuna? Lord Shri Krishna puts to the test many of his pure devotees just to magnify the sense of duty. The gopis were put to such tests as well. Prahlad Maharaj also was put to such a test. All pure devotees come out successful in the respective tests by the Lord.
So the Lord has his own ways to test his devotees, and similarly to test Arjuna's sense of duty, kartavya bodh, to test the Arjuna's sense of duty. Lord Krishna examined Arjuna in this way. Okay, please read the 41st verse, the translation.
After reaching his own camp, Arjuna, along with his dear friend and charioteer, Sri Krishna, entrusted the murderer unto his dear wife, who was lamenting for her murdered sons.
Yeah, now Arjuna was in two minds. Krishna was saying that kill him. Then Arjuna was not uh, reading the mind of the Lord. He was thinking that I think we should not kill him. Did not like the idea of killing, and he kind of took some time, bought some time, and took Ashwatthama to his own camp, and brought in front of his own wife Draupadi. And Draupadi was lamenting in this at that time. Yeah, read the 42nd one.
Draupadi then saw Ashwatthama, who was bound with ropes like an animal and silent for having enacted the most inglorious murder. Due to her female nature and due to her being naturally good and well behaved, she showed him due respects as a Brahmana.
Yeah, now you can see, uh, although you will now we will see there is another aspect of why uh, Ashwatthama should not be killed. So Draupadi will take another stand. She will take a different opinion. She will take a different stand, different position on whether we should kill Ashwatthama or not. Lord Krishna's position was clear. He gave 5 reasons why Ashwatthama should be killed, and Draupadi will take a different reason. In this verse, when Ashwatthama is brought in front of Draupadi, so Draupadi, it is being mentioned here that due to her female nature and due to her being naturally good and well behaved, she showed him due respects as a Brahmana. So Ashwatthama was son of Dronacharya, a son of a Brahmana. So when Ashwatthama was brought in front of Draupadi, she very instinctively, out of habit or out of say her training, her sanskar, she behaved very naturally, very nicely, offered her respects to the Brahmana's son, and that's how she behaved. So here it is being mentioned due to her female nature. Female nature is being mentioned here in the purport as in the shloka as Vama Swabhava. So the 42nd verse, Vama Swabhava Kripaya Nanamcha. In the last line of this verse, it is being mentioned Vama Swabhava. Vama Swabhava means a very beautiful natured lady. A very beautiful natured lady. That is what Vama Swabhava means. And Prabhupada makes a statement on this particular meaning of Vama Swabhava. Please read from here.
The specific word used in this sloka is
Vama
Vama Swabhava, mild and gentle by nature. Vama Swabhava, mild and gentle by nature. A good man or woman accepts anything very easily, but a man of average intelligence does not do so. But anyway, we should not give up our reason and discriminatory power just to be gentle.
Yeah, some people by habit, some people by their culture, by their training, they tend to be gentle. They try to be gentle always, huh? Even if they are spoken harshly, even if they are facing some difficult situation, they try to be gentle because gentleness and mild nature, mild behavior is always accepted politically correct in any situation. Say if somebody is abusing you, somebody is not showing very friendly gesture, you are simply being gentle, and people accept this gentle behavior generally in the society. So similarly, Draupadi, who was gentle by nature, mild by nature, when she saw this Brahmana, although he was killer of his 5 sons, out of her training, she showed this Vama Swabhava, means a very gentle nature. But Prabhupada ji here does not, in one way, he is glorifying Draupadi because of his gentle nature, but at the same time, he is also kind of criticizing Draupadi for being gentle even to the killer of his 5 sons. Like this, what Prabhupada ji mentions. But anyway, we should not give up our reason and discriminatory power just to be gentle. Reason and discriminatory power just to be gentle. If you remember, in the previous classes, we have discussed a few things about the specific psychological nature of psychological nature of women. So women in general are, I would say, more inclined to be emotionally surcharged, emotionally rich, and because of this emotional richness in their behavior, it is in one situation a very good quality, but in other situations it could be a weakness also. For example, where it could be a good quality, maybe when it comes to dealing with children, raising children, managing children, it is a very good quality. Children by nature may make mischief, may create a lot of disturbance, etc. But women, because of their emotional nature, they are attracted to children, and then because of their natural attraction for children, they actually don't become very excited, don't become very angry in general, and they manage the children, their own children or other children, very well. But because of their emotional nature, they probably may get carried away easily in other situations also. So Srila Prabhupada, in this particular context, is doing both. He's trying to provide a balance argument in both the situation. At one side, he is glorifying Draupadi's Vam Swabhava, gentle nature, that although the lady's 5 children were killed by a person and she was still showing respect to that person, but in the end balances this particular behavior of Draupadi by saying, but anyway, we should not give up our reason and discriminatory power just to be gentle. Simply gentleness as a policy is not a good idea. We should also be reasonable. We should also utilize our discriminatory power when we have to deal with situation where we have to deal with a person who is something like an habitual killer, like that. So you will see this aspect will come out more in the second paragraph. Mataji, please read from here.
One must have good discriminatory power to judge a thing on its merits. We should not follow the mild nature of a woman and thereby accept that which is not genuine. Ashwatthama may be respected by a good-natured woman, but that does not mean that he is as good as a genuine Brahmana.
Yeah, so Draupadi might have shown this forgiveness for this Brahmana Bandhu, this Brahma Bandhu. Draupadi might have shown this nature of forgiveness. But Prabhupada is saying that that should not be something like as a principle. Although she is showing forgiveness for this habitual offender, uh, but that does not mean that he is actually a Brahmana in real sense. He actually should be forgiven in other situations also. So she may have done it out of his own magnanimity. It does not make Ashwathama a non-offender. He still remains an offender for killing these 5 children. We will see Prabhupada ji giving a very similar analysis in Bhagavad Gita also when it comes to Arjuna. So in the initial chapters where Arjuna is showing compassion towards his family members, Prabhupada ji is criticizing Arjuna and at the same time glorifying Arjuna also. So he's criticizing Arjuna in the sense that he is running away from duty simply because of some misplaced compassion. But at the same time, he is also glorifying Arjuna, that Arjuna has a soft heart. And in such soft heart only the knowledge for self-realization actually can take place. He is showing compassion to others, unlike Duryodhan, who is simply a very obstinate person. But Arjuna, although he knows that these people are serial offenders, but still he is showing some compassion. So that is something his Prabhupada is bringing out the good side of that behavior of Arjuna, but at the same time also bringing out the not so good side of that kind of behavior of Arjuna. Very similar what we see here in the case of Draupadi. Okay, now we move to the 43rd verse. So Mataji, I think now we should move to the other devotee.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, Anuradha Mataji, can you come now to the scene?
Hare Krishna, yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. So please read from here, 43rd.
Yes, Prabhu. 35 to 58. no? Arguments regarding killing of Ashwathama. Draupadi's arguments against killing Ashwathama. 43. Dharmyam, religious. She could not tolerate Ashwathama being bound by ropes. And being a devoted lady, she said, release him, for he is a Brahmana, our spiritual master.
Yeah, stop here.
Okay.
So we will go one by one. So
Yes.
Dharmyam. Now you will see in each of these 6 verses, 43rd, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48. In front of these verses, in the translation, in the front of the translation, I have put one Sanskrit word, Dharmyam, Nyayam, Sakarunam. And then you will see in 46, 47, 48 also a similar Sanskrit word. So these Sanskrit words are actually coming from 49th verse. So 49th verse is spoken by Yudhishthir Maharaj. Yudhishthir Maharaj. So Yudhishthir Maharaj supports the arguments by Draupadi, and in support of Draupadi's arguments, Yudhishthir Maharaj describes that what Draupadi has just spoken actually confirms to these particular principles of religion: Dharmyam, Nyayam, Sakarunam, and so on. So each of the verse that has been spoken by Draupadi here, 6 verses has been spoken. So each of the verse has actually a specific quality that was later on confirmed by Yudhishthir Maharaj. So I have mapped those qualities in the front of the translation by Draupadi. So here, the first reason Draupadi gives is something to do with dharmyam, religiousness. She could not tolerate Ashwathama being bound by ropes, and being a devoted lady, she said, release him, for he is a Brahmana, our spiritual master. So religious reason. Religious reasons means that a person who has taken birth in a Kshatriya family has to show respect to the higher Varna, something like a Brahmana. So being a Kshatriyani, she wanted to show respect to the Brahmana. So that is one reason given by Draupadi. Let us see what Prabhupada has to say in the purport of the 43rd verse. Yes, Mataji, please.
When to reject a guru or a Brahmana. According to revealed scriptures, A teacher or spiritual master is liable to be rejected if he proves himself unworthy of the position of a guru or a spiritual master.
Hmm.
A Brahmana is accepted on the merit of qualification and not on the merit of simply being the son of Brahmana.
Yeah, so here Draupadi is referring to Ashwatthama as Brahmana, and she's saying that we should not kill this person because he's a son of a Brahmana or he's Brahmana himself. So here Draupadi is showing a large heart, and out of his training, out of his religious training, she wanted to forgive Ashwatthama. But Prabhupada ji mentions here that in case we find a situation where a Brahmana or maybe a guru or a spiritual teacher, if he doesn't follow the codes of uh, the scriptures, he is proving himself to be unworthy of the position of a Brahmana or a guru, then it is okay to reject him. Although Draupadi was not rejecting this Ashwatthama out of his magnanimity, but uh, in real life, if somebody wants to reject such a person, then it is okay to reject such a person, even if the person is a Brahmana or a guru. A Brahmana is accepted on a merit of qualification, not on the merit simply being the son of a Brahmana. So Prabhupada makes her that point very clear. Okay. Now please read the 44th one.
Yes, Prabhu. Nyayam, justice. It was by Dronacharya's mercy that you learned the military art of throwing arrows and the confidential art of controlling weapons.
Oh, yes. So Nyayam, justice. So what is the justice being done by Draupadi here? So you have taken so much from his father from his father Dronacharya. And what the kind of education you have taken from Dronacharya is not something very ordinary education. Actually, you have learned the military art of throwing arrows, and not only simply learned the art of throwing arrows, but the confidential art of controlling weapons. Confidential art of controlling weapons. Controlling weapons means, like just now, Arjuna threw the Brahmastra, but he was also able to retract the Brahmastra. That is called art of confidential art of controlling weapons. So that is a subtle art. That is a very fine art. And in order to learn that fine art, the teacher should be very capable, the student also has to be very capable. But because you received this very sophisticated science, you received this very exalted science of weaponry, of martial art from your teacher Dronacharya, then justice says that you should actually pay some respect to such a person. You should feel some gratitude for such a person, and out of gratitude you should not kill this person, Ashwatthama. And here Prabhupada ji makes some points in the purport. Please read.
Yes. Purport 1.7.44. Finer art of throwing arrows. Gross military science is dependent on material weapons, but finer than that is a part of throwing the arrows saturated with Vedic hymns, which act more effectively than gross material weapons like machine guns or atomic bombs. The control is by Vedic mantras, are the transcendental signs of sound.
Yeah. So here Prabhupada ji is mentioning that today, in the world today, there are many advancement in the military art, in the military science. But even today also, the advancement is not so great as it was in the previous era, where it was even possible to retract these weapons. These weapons would be driven by subtle sound, which is like Vedic mantras, Vedic hymns. And using these mantras, using this transcendental science of sound, such weapons used to be controlled. They used to be discharged. They used to be retracted, and so on, which is not present even in today's world, where we are mainly talking about machine guns, atomic bombs, and so on and so forth. So, why then Arjuna should be grateful? Yeah.
Why? Arjuna should be grateful. Arjuna was taught all this, and therefore Draupadi wished that Arjuna feel obliged to Acharya Drona for all these benefits.
Yes. So, in order to feel gratitude for Dronacharya, Draupadi wanted to do this justice, because if you kill Ashwatthama, it won't feel justified. You will sound ungrateful to your own teacher. So that's why Draupadi gives the second reason justice. Okay, 45th. Please read from here. Sakarunam. Anuradha Mataji, are you there?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sakrarunam, merciful. He, Dronacharya, is certainly still existing, being represented by his son. His wife Krupi did not undergo a sati with him because she had a son.
Yeah. Now she's showing the another reason called mercy. She's saying that don't think that Dronacharya has left, because his son Ashwathama actually is representative. So Dronacharya is present as his son, and uh, Dronacharya's wife Kripi did not perform sati on the death of Dronacharya. Why she did not perform sati? Because she already had a son, Ashwathama, which was representative of his own husband Dronacharya. So in the past, ladies would voluntarily accept sati, uh, because the separation from the husband is so painful that probably entering the fire would be less painful than that separation. So they would voluntarily agree to enter into the fire. It is not by force, it was only by volunteer choice. So that is why she is mentioned that she did not undergo sati, because she already had a son, which was the representative of Dronacharya. So Prabhupada ji makes few points in the purport. Let us see. Please read
Why?
from here.
Yes, Prabhu. Why Ashwatthama killing is same as killing Dronacharya? A widow is a widow only in name if there is a son of her husband existing. So in either case, Ashwatthama was a representative of Dronacharya, and therefore killing Ashwatthama would be like killing Dronacharya.
Yeah, so she said that we should show this mercy, because if you kill Ashwathama, it will be same as killing Dronacharya. So already she had given now 3 reasons. 3 more reasons she will give. Yeah, please read.
43, same Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji, please read from here. Nirvyalikam.
Nirvyalikam, non-duplicitous. Oh, most fortunate one who know the principles of religion, it is not good for you to cause grief to glorious family members who are always respectable and worshipful.
Yeah, so Nirvyalikam, non-duplicious means that if you kill Ashwathama, then you will bring blemish to your own glorious family. So in order to be non-duplicious, you should not do such kind of work which is not will not look good for a person who is coming from a very respectable family and so on. So because you come from a very glorious family who are very respectful and worshipful, this kind of act is not good for us. So this is the fourth reason. Then 47th verse, the fifth
Samam,
reason is
it is samam, equal. My lord, do not make the wife of Dronacharya cry like me. I aggrieved for the death of my sons. She need not cry constantly like me.
Yeah, so here Draupadi is saying, Draupadi is thinking herself and putting herself in the position of the wife of Dronacharya or the mother of Ashwathama. She's thinking that the way I have received the very this pain from Ashwathama, the same pain should not be experienced uh, by by uh, by Kripi, by Dronacharya's wife, by Ashwathama's mother. So she is thinking herself in the same way as Kripi would feel in case Ashwathama would kill. So she's keeping herself equally in the same footing as Kripi and going through those emotions if Ashwathama would be killed. So that is samam, equal. Okay.
Mahat, glorious. If the kingly administrative order being unrestricted in sense control offends the Brahmana order and enrages them, then the fire of that rage burns up the whole body of the royal family and brings grief upon them all.
Yeah. So she is now giving another reason that it won't look glorious because we are Kshatriyas and Kshatriyas should respect Brahmanas. And if we do something like this, then it will attract the fire of rage from the Brahmana community, and that will burn the whole royal family, and that will make them very, very grief stricken. So like that, Draupadi gives 6 reasons. So Lord gives 5 reasons, Draupadi gives 6 reasons. So at the moment, the devotees arguments are on the higher side, or on the more stronger compared to the Lord's arguments, in one sense, at least in numbers. Now Yudhishthir is listening to all these arguments by Lord Krishna, and Yudhishthir is also listening to the arguments by Draupadi. So whatever Draupadi just mentioned, the 6 reasons that she gives, Yudhishthir actually speaks a very sweet verse here to summarize what just Draupadi has spoken so far. So she mentions, or Yudhishthir mentions, actually it is spoken by Sud Goswami, but the words are of Yudhishthir Maharaj. So Mataji, please recite with me.
Yes, Prabhu.
Dharmyam nyayam sakarunam
Dharmam nyayam sakarunam
nirvyalikam samam mahat
nirvyalikam samam mahat
raja dharma suto ragyaha
raja dharma suto rajyaha
pratyan dva pratyanda dvacho pratyanda dvacho dvijaha
pratyannatan vacho dvajaha
pratyanda
pratyanandat pratyanandat
pratyan yeah pratyanda dvacho dvijaha.
pratyanandat vacho dvajaha.
Ha, yeah. Now what it is, Yudhishthir ji is saying Raja Dharma Suto Ragyaha. Raja Dharma Suto Ragyaha. So Ragyaha means Ragya is referring here to the queen, the Maharani. And Maharani here is Draupadi. Now she's saying, O Brahmanas, King Yudhishthir fully supported the statements of the queen, which were in accordance with the principles of religion. What are those? Dharmyam Nyayam Sakarunam Nirvyalikam Samam Mahat. So these are the 6 principles of religion that Yudhishthir Maharaj identified in Draupadi's speech, and we just discussed those. So Dharmyam means principles of religion, Nyayam means justified, Sakarunam means full of mercy, Nirvyalikam means uh, with equity, Samam with equity, and without duplicity means Maha. So principles of religions were justified, glorious, full of mercy and equity, and without duplicity. So dharmyam nyayam sakarunam nirvyalikam samam mahat. So Yudhishthir Maharaj summarizes what just Queen Draupadi had mentioned in defense of not killing Ashwathama. So here you can see uh, there is a conflict. Lord Krishna is saying kill Ashwathama, giving those reasons. Draupadi is saying not kill Ashwathama. Yudhishthir Maharaj supporting Draupadi, and now we will see more people will support Draupadi. Please read from here.
Yes, ma'am. Arguments regarding killing of Ashwathama. Agreement and disagreement with Draupadi's judgment. Nakula and Sahadeva, the younger brothers of the king, and also Satyaki, Arjuna, the personality of Goddess, and Lord Sri Krishna, son of Devaki, and the ladies and others all unanimously agreed with the king.
Now you will see more support is coming for Draupadi. So Draupadi gave 6 reasons, Lord Krishna gave 5 reasons. Yudhishthir is supporting Draupadi, and Nakul, Sahadev, Satyaki, Arjuna, and Lord Krishna's and the ladies and son of the and the other and the ladies and others all unanimously agreed with the king. So there are multiple people who are agreeing with Draupadi, more support coming from Draupadi compared to what Lord Krishna just argued in favor of killing Ashwathama. So let us see 51st verse. One person is actually not agreeing. One heavyweight person is not agreeing, and who is that person? That person is Bhima. So what does Bhima says? Please read from here. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu. Bhima, however, angrily disagreed with them and recommended killing this culprit who had murdered sleeping children for no purpose and for neither his nor his master's interest.
Yeah. So Bhima disagreed. Bhima is heavyweight. He's disagreeing that no, we should immediately kill him. Draupadi is giving reasons. Krishna is favoring killing. Bhimsen is himself actually disagreeing with it. Now here we will see, in presence of Krishna, there is a conflict between devotees. All of them are devotees of Lord Krishna. One set of devotees is having argument and opinion in favor of defending Ashwathama, not killing Ashwathama, but another devotee is actually supporting the argument of killing the Ashwathama. So there is a conflict, and we will see that these kind of conflicting situation comes even today also uh, among devotees, where uh, both type of devotees are actually trying to serve the Lord. One set of devotees trying to serve the Lord in one way, another set of devotees is trying to serve the Lord in another way. So there is a conflict. And how should we deal this conflict? A very similar situation, if you see, if you read the Shastra, also has been mentioned elsewhere, like in Ramayana. When Vibhishan comes to the uh, when Vibhishan comes to Lord Ramchandra, Vibhishan leaves Lanka and wants to join Lord Ramchandra. And then there is a discussion in the camp of Lord Ramchandra. Lord Ramchandra asks opinion, what should we do with Vibhishan? And then King of the Vanaras, King Sugriv, he is of the opinion that we should immediately kill Vibhishan. Why? He's a brother of a demon like Ravan. And then who knows that Vibhishan has come here for ill intentions. He may take cognizance of the secrets of our military and may share those details with Ravan, and that would be very incorrect for our situation, because we are at war with Ravan and he is brother of Ravan. We should immediately kill Vibhishan. But then Hanuman is of a different opinion. Hanuman says, no, I have been to Lanka. I have observed Vibhishan. I can see from his face that actually he is very devoted to the Lord. And he has come here genuinely out of help, providing help to Lord Ramchandra. So, like this, in Lord Ramchandra's camp also, there were two different opinions. But then, after the different devotees have presented these opinions, conflicted opinions to Lord Ram was asked, what should you do? Then Lord Ram said that leave alone Vibhishan. Even if Ravan himself comes to me and asks for my protection, I will actually protect Ravan also. What to speak about Vibhishan? So in here we can see that Ramchandra's opinion is favoring Hanuman's opinion. Hanuman was of the same opinion as Lord Ramchandra. Now, what did Sugriv might feel? Sugriv might feel that Lord Ram actually favored Hanuman. So Hanuman seemed to be more dear to Lord Ram, and Sugriv may have this feeling of envy towards Hanuman, and Hanuman might think that, see, Lord Ramchandra accepted my opinion, so I am actually favorable. I am actually more, and this particular this gentleman Sugriv, although he may be a king, but he doesn't know what is good and what is correct, what is right, what is wrong. But that is what not should happen among the devotees. That is what not happened between Sugriv and Hanuman. Both gave their opinion. Both suggested the Lord Ram out of their own opinion, with the intention of serving the Lord, and not with the intention of proving their opinion superior to other. With the intention of serving the Lord, both have given that opinion without maintaining any ill feeling towards the other person who had a different opinion. So similarly, here also we see that situation. Bhima has another opinion, and few other group of devotees or set of devotees have another opinion. Now let us see how the situation is being managed. Read from the
Yes.
52nd here.
Chaturabhuja, the four-armed one, or the personality of Godhead. After hearing the words of Bhima, Draupadi and others saw the face of his dear friend Arjuna, and he began to speak as if smiling.
Yeah, now Lord Krishna is smiling. Lord Krishna is smiling means he is able to feel the tension here. There are two camps. One is in the favor of the motion, one is against the motion. And what should we do? How should we resolve this conflict? And because he's thinking that there is a conflicting situation, he's smiling and he looks towards Arjuna. But interestingly, in this particular verse, Lord Krishna is being mentioned as Chaturbhuja. uh, but here we know that Lord Krishna only had 2 arms. But here he is being as Chaturbhuja, mentioned as Chaturbhuja, as 4-armed one. So there is a reason why Lord Krishna is being mentioned here as Chaturbhuja. Please read here.
Yes, Prabhu. Why Lord is called as Chaturbhuja here? Lord Sri Krishna had 2 arms, and why he is designated as 4-armed is explained by Sridhara Swami. Both Bhima and Draupadi held opposite views about killing Ashwatthama. Bhima wanted him to be immediately killed, whereas Draupadi wanted to save him. We can imagine Bhima ready to kill while Draupadi is abstracting him. And in order to prevent both of them, the Lord discovered another 2 arms.
Yeah, so here a very beautiful, a very sweet reason is given by one of the famous commentators of Srimad Bhagavatam, that is Sridhar Swami. So here Sridhar Swami is saying that why Lord exhibited 2 more arms, why he's being mentioned as Chaturbhuja. So imagine Bhima ready to kill Ashwatthama and Draupadi ready to protect Ashwatthama. And how to manage both these devotees? In order to protect both the devotees, Lord Krishna exhibited 2 more arms. Now you can see here in the picture here. So Lord is holding Bhima with 2 arms, and with another 2 arms, he's trying to manage Draupadi. That Draupadi, just please be away from Bhima. Like that, this scene is being created here. So that is why Lord Sri Krishna is being mentioned here as Chaturbhuja. In order to manage 2 conflicting devotees, there were 2 more arms that came out from the Lord. Okay. Please read from here, 53rd.
Yes, Prabhu. Krishna's contradictory order. The personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna said, a friend of a Brahmana is not to be killed, but if he is an aggressor, he must be killed. All these rulings are in the scriptures, and you should act accordingly. You have to fulfill your promise to your wife, and you must also act to the satisfaction of Bhimasena and me.
Yeah, now you see here, can you see whether Krishna gave a very confirmed decision or whether it is a complex decision? So we can clearly see a friend of a Brahmana is not to be killed. But if he is an aggressor, he must be killed. So at one place he's saying not to be killed, another place he's saying he must be killed. All these rulings are there scriptures, and you should act accordingly. So he's giving Arjuna a very complex situation. You should follow both of them. You have to fulfill your promise to your wife. You must also act to the satisfaction of Bhimsen and me. Like that, Bhimsen is saying that kill Ashwatthama. Lord Krishna is also saying kill Ashwatthama. So Arjuna has to satisfy all these requirements at the same time. Now, how can you do it? Because all of them are conflicting. So here Sud Goswami is saying, please read.
Sutta Goswami said, just then Arjuna could understand the motive of the Lord by his Prabhu, one minute.
Equivocal.
Ah.
Equivocal.
No, Lord by his equivocal orders, and thus with his sword he served both air and jewel from the head of Ashwatthama.
Yeah. So now Arjuna understood. Lord is giving me a puzzling situation. It cannot be solved simply by a plain, simple, straightforward thinking. He has to think out of the box. And out of the box thinking would mean that he should do something which will satisfy both killing of Ashwatthama and not killing of Ashwatthama. And the middle path that he took out is he took out his sword and severed both the hair and the jewel from the head of Ashwatthama. So Ashwatthama had a mani in his forehead, and uh, that mani, Arjuna removed that mani from the forehead of Ashwatthama, and also uh, removed the hair from Ashwatthama from his head. So like this, by insulting this Brahmana, by taking out of the jewel, and by making him, by shaving off his head, Arjuna actually killed Ashwatthama because he was insulted, and also did not kill Ashwatthama because he was still living. So now if Draupadi asks, what did you do with Ashwatthama? Did you kill him? Arjuna said, no, I have not killed him. He's still living. And if Bhimsena and Krishna is asking, did you kill Ashwatthama? Yes, I insulted him, and that is as good as killing a Brahmana or as good as killing this person, Ashwathama. So, like this, because of his very sharp brain, Arjuna could find out a solution which would satisfy both Lord Krishna and Bhimsena and Draupadi. Let us see what happens next.
Arjuna satisfies contradictory orders. Suta Goswami said, just then Arjuna could understand the motive of the Lord by his equivocal orders, and thus with his sword he severed both hair and jewel from the head of Ashwatthama.
Yeah, and then okay, 56th.
Yes, Prabhu. Arjuna satisfied contradictory orders. Ashwatthama had already lost his bodily luster due to infanticide, and now, moreover, having lost the jewel from his head, he lost even more strength. Thus, he was unbound and driven out of the camp.
Yeah, like this, you can see how this Ashwathama is, his head has been shaved, his jewel has been taken out, and he's just left to go away where he wants to go. So, like this, uh, he lost his bodily luster because he had killed those children, and now having lost this jewel, he lost even more his strength also. So, like this, Ashwathama was treated by the Pandavas. Okay, final two verses to close the chapter.
Yes, Prabhu. Arguments regarding killing of Ashwatthama, cutting the hair from his head, depriving him of his wealth, and driving him from his residence are the prescribed punishments for the relative of a Brahmana. There is no injunction for killing the body. Thereafter, the sons of Pandu and Draupadi, overwhelmed with grief, performed the proper rituals for the dead bodies of their relatives.
Yeah, so finally, Ashwathama episode was managed. The complex situation was handled very intelligently by Arjuna. Ultimately, after doing that, they went to perform the last rites for the deceased children of Draupadi and the Pandavas. And then the story now will move to the 8th chapter where we will discuss the prayers of Queen Kunti and how Parikshit was protected in the womb of his mother Uttara by Lord Krishna. So, a very devotional chapter, chapter 8, which we will take us in the next meeting. Most likely, next Sunday, there may be or may not be a class because I might be traveling with my family. So, I will confirm it to you. But this chapter, 7th chapter, now we have completed here today. So, with this, I will conclude. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Any takeaways, comments, and question we can discuss after this. Please note that in the next class, if it happens, whenever it happens, next Sunday or next to next Sunday, Mangala Sharan is by Rakesh ji and summary service is by Jeevan Prabhu. So please take note of that. And Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Any comments, questions, takeaways, most welcome.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Yes,
Hare Krishna,
Anuradha
Prabhu.
Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Even now, Ashwatthama is not killed, no, Prabhu.
Yes, that is what we know. Ashwathama is not killed. He's still probably living somewhere in the Himalayas, but I don't know the exact address.
Not, but they say no, it is there like that.
Yeah, that's what we hear. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, Prabhu. Thank you,
Okay.
Prabhu. Thank you.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you. Yes, Prabhuji, you were also saying something. Kartar Prabhuji.
Dandavad.
Yes, Prabhuji.
It's a little bit unpleasant thing for my Guruji, but it came to my mind, so I must share with you, with all glories to my Guruji Keshavji. But one-sided decision not to hold class, to me, is not fair.
Sorry, Prabhuji.
You are giving us a one-sided decision without
Uh-huh.
consulting us that you want to hold or not hold. So
Okay.
it's hurting me a little bit. So I want to share with you.
Yeah.
So you should take our opinion also.
Okay.
If
Okay.
you don't, if you don't feel bad, this
No,
is
no.
my
No, I appreciate your feelings. But to me, the next class, I have to travel because of some reason, personal reasons. So I may not be in the situation to prepare or give time for preparation. So that is why I'm saying that I will not be able to take the class. And but I,
It's a fair enough. Besides
yeah,
Guru, you have a
yeah,
personal life also. You have a individuality. You are a husband. You are a son. You are father. So I don't know. I felt like that. So as I'm close, I feel I'm close to my Guru. So I
yeah, yeah.
felt like
Okay.
asking.
No, appreciate your sentiment, Prabhuji. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Okay.
Otherwise, as usual, the class has been excellent, but it really leaves me into, double mind. Who is right, who is not right. But so these situations is still there in my mind. To my mind, there should have been a clear answer.
Yeah.
Not
So here, what I would say is, rather than looking who is right or not right, the intention for both the camps is actually to serve the Lord. So they have their own reasons what they want, because of their both the camps are expressing their own personalities. They are having their own opinion, and we had a good discussion that how when Draupadi is forgiving Ashwathama, that does not
6
necessarily
reasons.
mean that that was best of the decision. She probably was doing it more because of her womanly nature, or Vam Swabhav, as we discussed,
Motherly,
motherly nature,
basically.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
motherly nature. So,
Gee.
but that is what she thinks. That is her opinion, and there were few others also who were supporting that opinion. But that is the kind of situation we typically find even devotees even today also, where when we want to serve the Lord, there will be different opinions. How should we do it? We should organize Mangal Arati in the morning, or maybe 2 hours later, or maybe in the evening, just so that more people could come and attend, and like that. So you will find these kind of conflicting situation arising always among the devotees. But the
Mm,
idea is to have the service attitude and to accommodate other opinion, and not to feel envy or superiority if some opinion is accepted or rejected. So that is the main message. Yeah.
to me, I would have seen my Godhead to win because he is superior than all of us.
But Lord is also Bhaktavatsal, and where he is
He's
being
the Lord.
satisfied also.
Now,
Yeah.
once we accept him, anyway, I may be wrong, but
Yeah.
to me, I would see my master,
Yeah.
ultimate master of the world,
Yeah.
to
So we
win.
we respect your opinion also.
Thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
Guruji.
Okay.
Thank
Any
you.
other remarks by other devotees? Any
Hare
other
Krishna.
questions? Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Any other questions or remarks?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Ishwar Prabhu. Yeah.
Very nice class. I think, clarification is needed on animal killing and
Mhm.
violence and things like that, because recently there is a controversy going on between this Ramakrishna mission
Mhm.
and ISKCON regarding some comment by the
Yeah.
ISKCON preacher.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we would like to have your views, not in this class, but any other time, because both are very respected institutions.
Correct.
Ramakrishna Mission also is very old, and many people are great devotees of Vivekananda and Ramakrishna.
Correct.
But ISKCON is that ISKCON preacher is also very right, because he is saying what ISKCON is teaching. So he is
Correct.
right in his way, but this kind of controversy may be difficult for people who have
Yeah.
read, who are
Correct.
reading ISKCON and already read
Yeah.
Vivekananda. Yeah.
So Prabhuji, the idea is to share the see the way ISKCON principles are working. They are based mainly on the Shastra, and Shastras are like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam are the main Shastra in the Vaishnava tradition. And
Right.
we have been discussing the reasons why we consider these two books to be the foremost books. So
Right.
if something is being mentioned by other groups which is not in line with the Shastra, then as a
Right.
matter of duty, the preachers in within ISKCON do not support that. Rather, sometimes they would also criticize that. Now, criticism does not necessarily mean disrespecting. So,
Right.
for example, uh, our purpose is to bring out the truth, and
Yes.
when we try to bring out the truth, it is also becomes our duty to expose which is not truth.
Right.
So,
Truth is
yeah,
bitter most of the time. It is bitter.
yeah. Now when we see there are different spiritual organizations,
Yes.
and the point we are trying to make is that many of these organizations may not be in line with what we read in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and
Right.
and all the time we have been criticizing some of these spiritualists or transcendentalists, for example, like Mayavadis, or
Yes.
like Nirvisheshvadis, or like the Shunyavadis, like the Buddhists, like the uh, impersonalists, or like the Mayavadis, and so on. And
Yes.
when we are criticizing the followers of a particular community, in this case, maybe like Ramakrishna Paramhams and Swami Vivekanand, now they have been criticized based on what we read in Srimad Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic texts. So based on that argument has been there. Now, why certain people who are following these uh, particular communities or particular spiritual teachers, so-called renowned and I would say famous spiritual teachers, because
Yes.
they probably are attached, emotionally attached to these teachers. If they cast away their emotions away, and with an open mind come and read Bhagavad Gita, and basis of Bhagavad Gita, if they evaluate the teachings of these spiritual teachers, they probably will be able to see what is correct and what is not correct. But the problem in these cases happen is, they over the time, because of long period of attachment to these people, they become emotionally attached to these people, and when the emotions are hurt, then there is a reaction. Now if we do this rational analysis, now rational analysis may not be very pleasing to some people who may find that the outcome of that rational analysis is not as per their opinion, as per their thinking, or as per the belief that they have been maintaining for many years. And just
Right.
because a spiritual teacher is famous does not
Yes.
necessarily mean that he is scripturally correct also. So this has to be dealt with in a more rational way. But in order to manage the controversy, which probably has erupted out of emotional attachment to these spiritual teachers, there have been some action taken by ISKCON managers, which in my opinion is to manage the situation, just to manage it so that the controversy subsides and things may
Yes.
continue as usual in the time to come. And the
Right.
spiritual debate and the philosophical debate probably will settle the matter. Many people, because of this controversy, would have been benefited by knowing that to those people whom we have been considering very great, very heroic people, very spiritually elevated teachers, and so on, had few
Right.
things which probably were not in accordance with the scriptures also.
Right.
So
Right.
for some people, this controversy would have brought some enlightenment also to them, and that is good. That is good in some way. Yeah. So that is
Thank you.
my little commentary and thought on this particular aspect. Yeah.
No, seems
Hare
very
Krishna.
logical.
Yeah, Prabhuji, just 1 minute. Yeah, let Ishwar Prabhu complete. Yes.
Ji, ji.
Seems very logical because earlier I had read Ramakrishna and Vivekananda, and
Hmm.
now since I am reading Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, so certain things are emerging from
Hmm.
what we have
Correct.
been taught. So
Yeah.
you can definitely make a clear distinction.
Yeah. So
What is right and what is wrong.
correct. So
So
typically we avoid any kind of controversy, like we don't want to criticize other philosophies. We mean our business, and that's how we continue in the society in general. But sometimes when somebody asks a very pointed question or a specific question, we clarify why we do what we do, and then let
that-
the other person decide what should be done. Rather than giving them our judgment, we leave it to them how should it be done. So that is something how we deal with it, rather than making out a case against a particular spiritual teacher, which probably might give people an impression that we are doing something like this out of enmity, out of jealousy or envy or whatever. We try to avoid these kind of issues and simply go on with our job, our services in the way that we have been taught by Prabhupada ji and other Vaishnavacharyas. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, Kartarji, you were saying something.
I just have a comment in this. With all this wonderful and very enlightening discussion between Guruji and Ishwar, Dr. Ishwar, my brother. But only one thing I want to, probably it was, I found a limit, because they were, you both were talking Ramakrishna and Vivekananda.
Yeah.
Vivekananda is one of the 18 disciples of Sri Ramakrishna.
Right.
And they are equally very, very intelligent and all that. So this, I wanted to add this.
Yeah.
It is not a synonym that Ramakrishna is Vivekananda or Vivekananda is. But he has a very special character in his disciples. Sometimes, if time permit or you permit, I'll share with the other satsangis. But this is just said,
Right. Yeah.
He has 18, he has given us 18 disciples, Nandas,
So our one of our preachers in ISKCON, Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, had prepared a class on how should we criticize spiritually renowned teachers. I have heard only a part of that class. I have heard a part of that class, but I will share that in the WhatsApp group so that other devotees can also dive into the more detailed discussion what Prabhu has giving in his class. Very enlightening discourse. So you can have a little more idea on how it should be dealt with. And yeah. So with that, I think I'll close the session today, and then we'll mention to you whether we are going to have the next class or not by way of some message, and then we will take it forward. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Guruji. All glory
Hare
to
Krishna.
all devotees.
Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.